Welcome to the Concentric Home Solution Woodworking channel. In this video, I will be discussing my wings for my Capex miter saw. Once again, if you're a subscriber, thank you for subscribing. If you're a regular viewer and you're not subscribed, I would like to invite you to subscribe, hit the bell notification, give me a like, and leave a comment. If you're new to the channel and you like the video, same applies to you. Basically, it's a hodgepodge of different products that I put together to make this. I'll let you know the parts that I use, how I feel about it, and if I would take this approach again, if I had to start over, I'll let you know. The basis for my wings, and I forgot the name of the company, but it doesn't really matter because they're not in business anymore. But it was aluminum extrusion, and it used to have its own fence and it used to have its own stop system. But it was kind of rugged, the stop system, and it didn't really suit my needs as far as fine adjustments and, the ability to add multiple stops and so forth. So one day I was on the INCRA website and I took a liking to the fence for their miter gauge. I saw they made them in different sizes. And I came up with a crazy idea to take a grinder. If you look closely, and I'll show you this in B-roll, if you look closely, you'll see where I grind away the top profile, the upright part of the fence on the original thing. I grind the whole thing off, and I ordered 2 INCRA fences, and I attach it to this. The other modification is, previously to me owning this setup was on a Bosch. It had it was very heavy duty, this product. It was meant for trim carpenters, but trust me, it was suited for framers. That's how stout it was. And you had to attach one part of their system to your saw, and one part of the system was attached to the extrusion. When I got a Capex, no way I was going to be able to use their accessories to attach it to Capex. It so happened I found a company that made an attachment, and I'll give you a close-up of that use an INCRA extrusion that allows you to put, let's call it a sub fence. You use it when you're doing crown molding, cut in position. And Festool, I think, makes one. It's a piece of board. I'll show you. Festool make one, but I made this one for myself. But you mostly use this for crown molding. And I'll show a B-roll. So you'll see a close-up of this. But it goes into that extrusion. Or should I say that miter track. I made my own using some INCRA knobs. And the whole idea is, let me see if I have a piece of crown molding. I don't think I do. The whole idea is you should be able to cut it in position and hold it at the right angle. And it's integrated into the accessory. And the accessory is cool because it attaches to the Capex similar to the OEM wing for the Capex saw. So that was a good addition to this. That's where the hodgepodge come in. An INCRA fence, this is a different product. The original fence is another product. Then I got a couple of stops, the flip stops. I like the INCRA flip stops, but I didn't like the way it worked. It's two independent flip stops with a bar in between that you tighten down these little knob hardware to hold it. And I didn't like it. I just didn't like it. And the other problem too is it had a little play. When it comes to doing miter work or anything that I need repeatability, I do not like play in the plain way it matters. In the case of this, I want my pieces to be basically the exact same length. And if I could put a little bit of pressure and make one a 30-second bigger, that's a problem for me. So that's when I came up with what you see here. This is actually just, let's call it a prototype of a system that I was planning to come up for this. Its shape is as it is for a reason. And it's bigger than it needs to be. In the future, I was planning to like cut a rabbit out in this and have where you can attach a piece with a knob that will give me a zero clearance all the way out to my cut line. So I could work I could work past the limit of this. I could work onto the table of the miter saw. I hope you follow that. So I could cut smaller pieces with a miter saw. Using safety, of course. So one of the things I like about it is on the fence, you're gonna notice these little inserts, they're all teeth, or teeth, I guess you pronounce that. And they have the matching one on the flip stop, and they engage with one another. And I think they're accurate either to 64 for 30 seconds. I'll verify that. It gives you some ability also to calibrate the whole system. And what else can I tell you about it? It also has INCRA's unique measuring system, which I don't use as much anymore. But to me, it's just as easy to either use my folding rule or measuring tape, or better yet, if I'm cutting multiple, the first piece that I measure out and mark, I will line it up on my Capex with a laser, cut it, verify the size, that's the size that I want, and understanding that it's already clamped in place, verify that is the size that I want, then I would bring the stop up to it, lock it down, and that's the stop for the rest of the pieces of that size. So I don't find myself trying to use that much, but you can calibrate it to it if you choose to do so. So I add this piece mainly for rigidity. It doesn't have any give anymore. I could bring a 2x4 up against here and it doesn't move anymore. That really was a better setup than what originally came with it. It was thumb screws, and sometimes they would, come and loosen, and it was problematic for me anyway. I like this, like it so much, you see I made multiples of it. I never followed through with the rest of the design. Happens a lot with me. What I like about the INCRA part of it, defense, is the fact that it's telescoping. Right now, I have it telescoped out to its maximum length, which is a little bit over 6 feet. I don't have that much space here. So it's a little bit over 6 feet. From the cut line to the stop block is a little bit over 6 feet. Same thing on the other side. Other change I did. The telescoping feature of the fence, to extend it out, you used to have to use an Allen key. And I thought that was ridiculous. So I went on and I bought the hardware. I forget what you call these. They're spring loaded. It makes it toolless. So I can lock it in, close, or unlock it and extend it to where I need it to be and then lock it back in place. No tool. I'm all about making things easy and making it in a way that I'm gonna want to use it. If it's too much barrier, it's too much friction, you end up not using it or not doing it. So I try to make stuff as easy for me as possible. So that was another added addition. Simple, inexpensive, couple bucks for the hardware. I got it from Peachtree Woodworking. All in all, I like it, but in the future, I'll be going in a different direction. And it's not any fault of the INCRA one. And for most people, I highly recommend this setup. It's a little pricey with a flip stop and all that, but it's cheap in comparison with the crazy direction I'm going. But just to put it out there, for the question one of my subscribers asked if I was to do it again, if I would go with it. For most people, I would tell them, yeah, I would recommend it to anybody. You could go this direction. I intend to put it in a digital system. And I'm not talking about the Tiger Stop, or there's another name for the more consumer-oriented one. That's not what I'm talking about. This is a fence that uses mechanical means to gain its accuracy, and there's a digital readout accessory that goes with it. But it's gonna be upwards of $1,500. And that might be per wing. Basically almost the price of the more expensive system. I like the digital readout. I'm a tech geek. When I originally came to the continental United States, I came to study to become an electrical engineer. Never finished electrical engineering. Life took me away from it, but that's always been my dream and my passion. So I'm very techy when it comes to stuff like that, like the digital readouts and so forth, DROs, whatever. So that's the direction I'm gonna go. And where you see saw sitting is much too high. I intend, like you see, how people normally have a cabinet head that is lower than the top. I'm gonna do the same thing too. So with a new fence, or if I was recommending this to somebody, I would not recommend the bottom part. You don't need the old system that I had from my on-site job saw. Only thing you would need is the fence, because you could attach this to this. So if this was set up the way it was supposed to be, where the base of the saw was on the same plane as the shelf, you wouldn't need this part of it. This part does add an extra piece that you don't need in a home shop. For me, for the longest while, I used to take my Capex to the job site. So this actually made it easy, because I could use this on the job site with its, they have some supporting legs that interfaces, and I'll show some B-roll if I remember, that interfaces with some hardware that I have here for it. And there's a base that this whole thing goes on top of. So basically, my shop saw, I could take it on site. So that's the reason why it's set up the way it's set up now. But I intend on keeping this permanently in the shop and buying a new saw for taking out on job site. So I won't be moving it back and forth. So the Capex, this Capex will just sit at home, be a shop saw. Love this Capex, by the way. If you haven't seen it yet, check out the review that I have on it. So that's basically it. It's a very good system. I've enjoyed it. In fact, I enjoyed so much, I adapted it to the MFT. So that alone tells you a lot. So I have 1, 2, 3 of them, counting my MFT. That's how much I like this INCRA system. I hope that answered the question to the subscriber that asked and anybody that was wondering about it. Once again, this matter track is part of an accessory that I bought, and I'll leave the information in the description. And as I showed you guys, that's the function of it. It allows you to add accessories such as this. Very useful. And as usual, thanks for watching. Stay safe in the shop, and I'll see you in the next video. If you enjoyed this video and you would like to be notified when new content is dropped on this channel, like, subscribe, hit the bell notification, and drop a comment down below.